3, 2, 1, 0.
Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines the word rookie as, quote, a first-year participant in a major professional sport. NASCAR, IndyCar, Formula One, they are all challenging to win at, and they're even more challenging when you're a rookie. But no form of racing has a schedule or the challenges like the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series does, which can make life as a rookie on the tour feel...
To say the least, it's painful. It's a big struggle. It's a huge roller coaster. You have up and downs all the time. Everything has to go perfect just to run 10th.
You don't know what to expect. You know, you think everybody that comes out here and does this can race, but you don't know whether it be the financial end of it, what's going to happen. You tear equipment up, things change amongst your crew members. You're not prepared for anything. You can have 5 race cars ready to go sitting somewhere, but it's nothing about that. It's the preparedness each night that you race.
You know, you look for raw speed. The guy can get out of his car, and then it's a little bit more experience. It's how you can race with people and how you can manipulate what's going on with your car and other people, and all that stuff takes time. But I think you can see it at a pretty early age.
It's just the grind. You know, you can't go home. You know, you have a bad night and you have to come back the next day and race again. And the road doesn't care. The road doesn't care if your girlfriend doesn't answer the phone at home, or you know you got a flat tire on the way to the racetrack. It doesn't care, and you got to show up and you got to race that night.
Since 1999, the brave drivers who commit to being the fastest, fresh face with the greatest show on dirt and earning the title of Rookie of the Year have done so in the name of a man so many agree defined what a Rookie of the Year really should be.
Kevin Gobrecht, the G-Man in the 93 Amoco US Print 93.
Kevin, congratulations. What a great win.
Oh, yeah, it was definitely a long night. I got to thank the fans for sticking it out and Eldora for, getting a track race so many times. And, you know, everybody worked for what they got tonight, and I'm just glad we came out on top. You know, luck went our way, but that Amoco team, that's 3 in a row for them, and I'm just happy to be part of it.
He was a guy that worked so hard to get where he got, and he never took anything for granted. He was humble and everything. He appreciated every part of it.
Kevin was a good guy. He was a diehard racer. He put his heart and soul into everything. He wasn't just a driver. He worked at trying to figure out more about his cars, making his cars better.
I mean, to me, he's a hometown guy that had a lot of mechanical ability as far as, micros, and then it moved to sprint cars.
Kevin Gobrecht was born May the 2nd of 1969 to working parents Bob and Donna. Kevin, the youngest of 3 boys, knew that if he wanted something in life, he was going to have to work for it.
When we lived in Abbottstown, they went to go fishing. I think it was he and Brian. Went to go over to East Berlin, which is a couple miles away. And Kevin rode his bicycle. They both had bicycles. They rode him over, and I think part of the way over there his pedal broke.
Yeah, and it was probably more like, I bet that was a good 4 or 5 miles away where we were going.
Where he was going. And Kevin rode his bike the rest of the way with one pedal.
Growing up in central Pennsylvania, an area that is in love with wing sprint car racing unlike many other places in the world, it didn't take Kevin long to realize where he wanted to be was playing in the dirt.
Our grandfather used to have a motorcycle shop, and Micros would run motorcycle engines, 252 strokes. And so he kind of had an affinity for that, so he wanted to get involved with micro racing.
Growing up less than an hour away in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, was a future 10-time World of Outlaws champion, as well as a 10-time Knoxville Nationals winning crew chief. But back then, he was a young and sometimes forgetful Ricky Warner.
And Ricky was racing, and he hurt his engine. He's like, well, I can't race tomorrow night. And we're like, get here early in the morning. We'll get there Saturday morning. We'll get that engine done. We'll get it fixed up. So we got it ready to go. Me and Kevin got both of our vehicles ready to go, our race cars ready to go, and we're heading up the road. And like I said, this kind of dates it. Get on the CB, and Ricky goes, I don't think I can race tonight. We're like, what do you mean? We just busted getting your engine to getting your engine going and stuff.
We left and worked on our motors one day and got to the racetrack, and I forgot mine on the bench.
He says, I left the engine back on the workbench.
So I had to borrow one from him because when we unloaded my car, I didn't have a motor on it. So he loaned me a motor to race that night.
How's a guy do that?
After utterly dominating the micro sprint scene in PA for 3 full seasons, Kevin went sprint car racing for the first time at Lincoln Speedway in 1995. And just like in the micros, the wins came quickly.
Taking the lead, Kevin Gobrecht.
After winning 3 features at 3 different tracks in 2 days in central PA, the Keystone State was put on notice that Gobrecht planned to take no prisoners and all of their money in 1999. Luckily for the PA posse, one phone call changed all that.
Anyways, he got a call for the Hilton Blaney ride, and he was beyond ecstatic. Like, his dream was coming true, that he actually moved out of the micros to the 410 sprints around here and then got an Outlaw ride.
Armed with legendary crew chief Kenny Woodruff and corporate cash from Amoco, Gobrecht finally had what he needed to win, or so he thought.
His home state of Pennsylvania, and he lobbied his current crew to change to a chassis similar to his previous mount.
The chassis just didn't feel comfortable with me. I didn't feel I raced my 100%, and last weekend I felt a lot comfortable and I raced a lot harder. So it's something more personal for me why we switched. You know, the crew and stuff, they like the J&Js and I like the Maxim, so you know, we decided to go this route, see if we can race a little bit harder.
The gamble to switch chassis paid off. In his first week back aboard his preferred Maxim frame, Gobrecht survived an all-night affair at Eldora Speedway to win the 1999 running of the historical Big One.
Checkered flag for your winner, the G-Man, Kevin Gobrecht, in the Amoco number 93.
He felt like he needed to win. He felt like he needed to prove everybody, hey, I'm still this guy that was back in April that was winning anywhere and everywhere. I'm an outlaw guy and I belong out here.
After picking up the $100,000 payday and the biggest win of his young outlaw career, Gobrecht drove the Hilton Blaney number 93 to a 3rd place finish at the Amoco Knoxville Nationals just 1 week later. The kid from New Oxford, PA, was having the time of his life.
September 24th, 1999, Greenwood, Nebraska. It's a hot September day, and Greenwood, Nebraska is in the middle of nowhere, and the hauler's down towards turn 1, probably 3 or 4 from the end. And
I was actually working with Gene. Gene's working for the Schatz family. He worked for me last year.
He's out there in the feature running 7th or 8th, and it's pounding the cushion all the way around the top. And like I said, we're down in turn 1. I'm watching on top of the trailer, so I'm watching him every lap going in there. And he goes in this one lap, he gets sideways and it kind of hooks the cushion a little bit, so he gets dead sideways in there.
And Gene and them were like, oh, Bobby, go watch, go watch. So I had climbed up on the trailer, on the Outlaw trailer that night in that big Pennzoil rig.
They didn't get the yellow. I don't know if they had radios back then, but Matt didn't get slowed down in time before he could check up. So he slows in and just kind of runs right into the side of Kevin.
I can still hear the crashing of the metal, still see the sights.
I was at Dover Downs for the NASCAR race. You know, our golf cart business did the rentals there, and it was an extended weekend, so I was camping down there. And then I was back in a certain area in the maintenance building, and the one guy came back and said, you need to call your wife. Your son's okay, but you need to call your wife. So I got out of the camper and I walked out. And, you know, Dover Downs went through this incredible transformation. It used to be a 40,000 seat facility, went up to like 190, and it whittled its way back down. But I walked out and I made a call at this phone booth. And, you know, my wife answered the phone, and, you know, she did what she had to do. She just basically told me that your brother was killed. Got settled in, and they watched the start of the NASCAR race, and they actually announced Kevin's passing on the national stage like that. So it made me really realize just what it was. But I went to Dover for a lot of years after that, and as they kept building this place up, this one little phone booth was there the whole time. They were knocking walls down and moving buildings, and this little phone booth stayed there almost to the end.
I got the call from Bobby, and she said he's been in an accident. It doesn't look good. She said they wouldn't let her in the ambulance with him because they weren't married. So I don't know who took her to the hospital or anything. And Bobby was telling me that he just looked at her and smiled, and she thought he was going to be okay.
In only his 108th career World of Outlaws sprint car start, Kevin Gobrecht was involved in an accident on the 15th lap of a 20-lap feature with fellow racer Matt Morrow at Nebraska's I-80 Speedway. Despite first responders' best efforts in the ambulance on the way to the hospital, Kevin Gobrecht passed away. He was 30 years old.
Yeah, he was great as a rookie, but he was going to be great for a long time, and tragically lost his life in my car, which was tough and is tough, and yeah, I would have liked to see what he could have done.
The ironic thing is, Jason and Kevin didn't die the exact same time, but the dates, if you look at the dates, they're very close. So when they come around, some days it's a struggle for me, but I have a little guy named Jax Johnson, and I try to be positive and be a good mom no matter what, like those boys would have wanted me to.
I wish he's still racing.
I miss him every day. I really do. There's very few weeks go by that I don't think about that guy, or I'm working in the shop or working on something, and I think, what would Kevin do, or what little smart little comment would he have said as he walked by me here at the racetrack,
Just basically really how great a person he really was, and he would do just about anything for anybody, but he just was driven. He wanted to be a successful World of Outlaws driver, and he did whatever it took to do that, and that's, I think, what all these drivers need to strive for, is just to kind of model themselves after him and just put the work in.